When I up, down, touch the ground, puts me in the mood. Up, down, touch the ground, in the mood for food. Welcome back to Everyday's Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Everyday's Movie Ever. Today I'm going to be talking about Christopher Robin. Christopher Robin is a 2018 theatrical release about Christopher Robin being grown up and forgetting about Pooh in the 100-Acre Wood and ultimately almost losing his joy and his family and how he needs them again. It is directed by Mark Forster, cinematography by Matthias Koenigswieser, editing by Matt Cheese, music by John Brion and Jeff Zanelli, and it's written by Alex Ross Perry, Tom McCarthy, and Allison Schroeder. The film stars Ewan McGregor as Christopher Robin, Hayley Atwell as Evelyn Robin, Bronte Carmichael as Madeline Robin, Jim Cummings as Winnie the Pooh and Tigger, Brad Garrett as Eeyore, Nick Mohammed as Piglet, Peter Capaldi as Rabbit, Sophie, Okonedo as Kanga, Sara Sheen as Roo, and Toby Jones as Owl. Brigham Taylor wanted to do something with the house at Pooh Corner for a long time back in 2003, but with everything else Pooh-wise going on, they decided to sit on it. In 2015, Kristen Burr convinced them to resurrect it, and then also in 2015, Disney then announced that they'd be making a live-action Pooh movie. With Brigham producing. In 2016, Forster was hired to direct and said the project had to have like a magical realism about it to tell the emotional story. And then in 2017, Ewan McGregor was confirmed. They started filming in August of 2017 in the UK, wrapped in November of 2017. They filmed all over Ashdown Forest, which was the original inspiration for the 100-Acre Wood, Windsor Great Park, Shepperton Studios, and at Dover Seafront, they used Panavision and Arri Alexa, 65mm Ultra, Panavision 70, Panavision System 65, all over the place. Post-production did have Studios, Framestore, and Method Studios that led the animation that was necessary. And then it had a $60 to $70 million budget and made $197.7 million in box office, which is very modest. It is double what it took to make technically, so it's not like a bomb, but it definitely was probably not considered very successful. Had a tie-in novelization, has a 73% Rotten Tomatoes consensus. Christopher Robin may not equal A.A. Milne's stories or their animated Disney adaptations, but it should prove sweet enough for audiences seeking a little childhood magic. And it was nominated for Best Visual Effects, but did not win. This was gorgeous. I think the juxtaposition between London and all the serious stuff and a lot of the romanticism in the 100-Acre Wood and just with Pooh Bear in general was really well done. I think the movement was really well done. I do think the stuffed animals look a little weird. Like, I kind of wish they had done like puppets or something instead of fully animating them. But you know, it just takes a little getting used to because you're used to the animated counterparts, like especially like Tigger having blue eyes, very weird, and Pooh looking like that instead of like what we're used to in the cartoon. Takes some getting used to, but you do get used to it by the end. I think the one that looked the best to me was Eeyore. That was perfect. I loved that. And then the sketches in between to like, especially in the beginning, montage to help tell the story and the chapters and all that, that was really effective for me. I thought that was really well done. I actually really love the editing in this film. I think the beginning, the montage that they do, I think it's like the first 10 or 15 minutes of the film, because you have a little bit of Christopher leaving the Sherwood Forest. That's the wrong movie. 100-Acre Wood at the beginning. That, you know, sets it up like, oh, they're saying about it, Christopher Robin, but then like doing the montage to see what has led in Christopher Robin's life to where he is, where he's so serious and so about his work and no fun and like just kind of like closed off, I guess, even though he isn't, is really effective. I think it's one of the more effective montages. It is a classic Disney montage where there's a parent death and there's like other tragic things happening, but he also falls in love, and I think it's the pieces they show interspliced with those like chapter 5 where Christopher Robin gets, you know, meets Evelyn or whatever, you know, is really effective. It really helps push that story and tell it visually, as well as like you're reading something, so technically a little bit expository, I suppose, but like not overly. It's literally like it's framed in the same way that the chapter titles are in the books about Winnie the Pooh, so I think it is very effective getting us to the same point with Christopher and understanding where he is in his mindset and how he could be like that. You know, it's very obvious that he loves his daughter and wants to love his daughter and wants the best for her, but like his experiences are informing what he's doing for her. And so I think it's just that montage is really effective. And then I do think the rest of the movie, this is like an hour and 44 minutes. I don't want to say like it feels longer, but I feel like there's a lot that happens while simultaneously not in that hour and 44 minutes. And it's all very effective. It's very touching. It's a very classic, I can talk about the story when we get to the writing, but I think the edit informs and does a really great job framing it how it is. The opening music was so touching and so beautiful, and that just continues throughout the score. Aubrey was watching this with me as usual, and he did say it felt like if he didn't know this movie was about like Christopher Robin and Winnie the Pooh, he never would have guessed it because it feels so serious. But the music was very effective in that way, I feel like, especially because they took very few moments, but the perfect moments, to insert musical stings that you recognize if you've been watching Winnie the Pooh your whole life. So like there's a moment of da, 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 you know, and it's like one moment, and then Pooh does like sing up, down, touch the ground for like a second. So you have these nostalgia moments or the things you might recognize, but then the actual score is of its own, and I think that's so effective. So then when those things do happen, you can be like, oh my gosh, like I know that. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Oh, also the Sherman Brother song at the end, the one in the credits where he's actually playing the piano and like singing at the beach, I almost cried. But then there was another one that played after that in the credits. I almost wept. Like, wow, how wonderful to bring that back. Guys, it's Winnie the Pooh. If you've been watching me for any length of time in the last 9 years, you know how I feel about Winnie the Pooh. If this is your first video of mine, I love Winnie the Pooh. One of, if not my favorite Disney characters of all time. He always gets me. I think there has been one Winnie the Pooh movie I haven't cried at. Otherwise, I always cry at Winnie the Pooh movies. This one is no exception. There's something about Pooh Bear's purity and goodness and love and kindness that I have always been attached to since I was little. I loved Winnie the Pooh when I was young. I've loved Winnie the Pooh through all of my years, and I feel like doing this project has just like constantly reaffirmed that everything Pooh Bear stands for, I am obsessed with. I want to emulate Winnie the Pooh. I want to be kind, loving, non-judgmental, there for my friend. Like, it's everything I want to be. And it always touches something so deep down in me every time I watch something. And this is a very classic plot for Disney. Like, it was really, watching it this time around, I saw this in theaters with my mom, which I was a mess. But it's a classic plot for Disney. It really reminds me of like Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins, and how like he forgot how to play and how to experience true joy and laughter, and is so focused on work and making sure the kids, you know, do all these things. And like, you know, at the end of Mary Poppins, the whole thing is like, why would he destroy their kite? He'd fix the kite and fly it with them. You know what I mean? And so this is like a classic plot for Disney, where Christopher Robin, you know, has been through hardship. His father passed away. He had to go to boarding school away from his family. He had to get rid of his nonsensical imagination. He's, you know, works at a very serious corporation now and is under a lot of pressure. Has a daughter that he wants to prepare to have the best life, so he's on, you know, making sure she's doing all the reading for a preparatory boarding school, and like, you know, and the wife is like, where are you? You know, you work all the time, you've lost, this is your life, it's happening now, it's not later. You know, your life, hi, here I am, I'm your wife, this is your daughter. And it's a classic plot for Disney for sure. And a classic plot for not even Disney, just for human nature in general, because I think a lot of us, especially in capitalist America, can get very, myself included, swept up in everything. Like, I have to do the work I have to do, the things I have to do, and not stop and focus on, like, living and experiencing your life with the people you love. And so it's a very classic plot, but it's so effective, in my opinion. The scene between Pooh and Christopher, when Christopher apologizes to Pooh, and, like, they hug each other and Christopher cries. I cried. Absolute mess. Because it's so, like, needed. You need that. You need to enjoy your life and spend time with the people you love and play with the people you love. And, like, I'm obsessed with you know, playing with, like, my baby cousins. You know, like, you've seen me do, if you watch Vlogmas, you've seen me do the Candy Cane Thief movies with Paul and Emery, and now Noah, and hopefully soon Chloe. And I feel like, you know, I wish to just always do that, because it's so magical, you know? Like, it could be the smallest thing. Like, some of my favorite times have been, like, at the dinner table when I'm watching them, you know, we're sitting there and I'll just all of a sudden be like, mission status, and, like, all of a sudden now we're, like, playing while we're eating. And, you know, it's stuff like that that is just so fun and important. It's the memories I cherish and the stuff I remember the most, and, you know, childhood core memory and just, like, all that kind of stuff. And so, like, it touches me so deeply that that was the message for this film, especially for people my age who grew up watching Winnie the Pooh, and people older than me that grew up watching Winnie the Pooh. Like, first Winnie the Pooh movie was, like, 77, so I surely wasn't alive. So, you know, I feel like it could really hit people, and it's a really good story. I know it might not have been, like, the best big blockbuster movie like the movie that'll come out on Friday, but it was still beautiful and wonderful and a great message. And so I love it. There's parent death. I cried. I think it's really effective story-wise and a great lesson. I never realized how much Hayley Atwell has worked for Disney until recently. Cinderella, all the Captain America Marvel stuff. This movie, I'm pretty sure she was a voice in something recently. She's like the new little Disney queen, and I love it. I'm obsessed. She's great. There was some very noticeable and somewhat bad ADR in the scene where Pooh tracks honey all around Christopher Robin's house. He's constantly, like, picking up Pooh Bear and saying stuff, and you can, if you pay attention, everything Ewan is saying does not match his mouth. So, it was pretty bad ADR. My favorite part is probably when Christopher Robin and Pooh have that heart-to-heart on that branch. So good. Absolutely excellent. It's when I cried. Least favorite part, probably when Christopher Robin is mean, or the really bad ADR moment, because I was like, okay, that's really bad. Recommend, of course. Watch again, probably. I own it. I haven't watched it since theaters, probably because I remembered that it was very emotionally effective. But I would definitely watch it again. Now that I've seen it again, I'm like, oh, okay, no, I could definitely, like, rewatch this and be fine. And I obviously recommend it. Can't recommend it enough. That's everything I have for Christopher Robin. I loved it. I thought it was super fun, super sweet, a classic Pooh Bear moment. I wouldn't consider this a remake, like a live action remake, because it's an original story, but it is like a live action Pooh Bear. So, like, I don't know if you'd put it with the live action remakes or not. I don't normally count this in, like, when I'm talking about live action remakes, because it's not a remake of any kind. It's a continuation. It's a sequel, if you will. It just happens to be live action. Yeah, so that's everything I have. My final rating will be 8. Oh, man. Red balloons. It has to be red balloons. 8 red balloons out of 10. Our total movie count is. Our parent death toll is. Cry count is still. No. Our cry count is. That's what I was going to say. If you want to keep up with what movie I'm watching when, follow me on all socials. Find out what movie I'm watching when. I put up videos every Monday and Friday, sometimes Wednesday, and then soon every day for the week of guests, because we're in celebration month. Join Patreon. Got a tier starting at just $1. You get every video a week early. Tiers above that, you get daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, merch, all the good stuff. Go check it out. Buy merch! If you don't remember, there is new merch. I'm not normally crazy about wearing tank tops, but I just wanted, like, I have one piece of everything right now, so I just wanted to make sure you were aware there are tank tops, and the new design is super cute. This tank top is very comfortable. I'm just not normally one for tank tops, but it lets me show off my strong arms now. So yeah, go buy merch. Go do it. Brand new merch. Super, way better quality, way faster company. Go do it for me. Pretty please. Pretty please. Be sure to stick around. Celebration Month is full of fun and surprises. Go join. Enter the giveaway. That came out on Saturday. So go check it out. That's it. That's all I got. Until next time, comment, subscribe, and I'm not in charge of your life. You are, so do you. And don't be the Winslow guy that Mark Gatiss' character. Deep in the 100-acre wood, where Christopher Robin plays, you'll find the enchanted neighborhood of Christopher's childhood days. A donkey named Eeyore is his friend, and Kanga and Little Roo. There's Rabbit and Piglet, and there's Owl, but most of all, Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh, Winnie the Pooh.